Greetings fellow Whovians. Well, time for another classic Doctor Who episode review, and today we're going to be looking at what is considered to be the best episode of the Fourth Doctor era. That's right, it's time to look at Genesis of the Daleks. So, without further ado, here we go. The Doctor and his companions, Sarah Jane Smith and Harry Sullivan, are returning from Earth to the Ark via Transmat when they are intercepted by the Time Lords. The Doctor is instructed to interfere with the creation of the Daleks as to avert a future where the Daleks rule the universe. He's given a time ring to return them to his TARDIS when the mission is complete. The three find themselves on the Dalek planet of Skaro. A generations-long war between the Thals and the Khalids has left the planet inhospitable, and the two sides have congregated in their own domes for protection and continue the war. A chemical weapon attack forces them to take shelter. Sarah is separated but meets the mutated exiles of both sides, who try to help protect her before they are all captured by the Thals and forced to load radioactive material on a missile. The Doctor and Harry are captured by the Khalids, their possessions, including the time ring, confiscated, and are taken to a Khalid bunker to meet their leaders, which includes the lead scientist, Davros. They have arrived in time for Davros to show his newest creation, the Mark III travel machine, or Dalek, which the Doctor recognizes as his nemesis. Ronson, one of Davros' scientists, secretly tells the Doctor that he knows Davros' experiments are unethical, and the Doctor is able to convince the Khalid leadership to put a halt to Davros' experiments. Davros learns of Ronson's actions and covertly provides the Thal leaders a chemical formula that could weaken the Khalid dome and make it vulnerable to their missile attack, while repairing 20 more Daleks. The Doctor and Harry make their way to the Thal dome and rescue Sarah and the Mutos, but are captured by the Thals and can only watch helplessly as they launch the missile. Dun dun dun! Due to Davros' message, the missile devastates the Khalid dome, wiping out all but those in the bunker. In the Khalid bunker, Davros accuses Ronson of giving the Thals the chemical formula and then kills him, and convinces the remaining leaders to let him have his Daleks attack the Thal dome. The Dalek attack kills many of the Thals, and the Doctor, his companions, and the surviving Thals and Mutos make their way to the Khalid bunker. The Doctor instructs the Thals and Mutos to find a way to destroy the bunker while he and his companions go inside to recover the time ring. While there, the Doctor is captured by Davros, who recognizes the Doctor knows of the future of the Daleks, and forces the Doctor to record all he knows, so that Davros can program the Daleks to avoid failure in the future. Yeah, good luck with that, Davros. Other scientists working for Davros, now aware of his plans, free the Doctor and give him enough time to wreck the Dalek incubation room with explosives, which would end the threat of the Daleks. As he's about to touch the two exposed wire ends to set them off, the Doctor questions if he has the right to make that decision and forgoes setting the explosions off. Just then, he learns that Davros has agreed to stop and allow the Khalid leaders to vote on the continuation of the project. Yay! As the leaders gather for this vote, the Doctor is able to recover the time ring and destroy the recordings he made, while learning that the Thals and Mutos have prepared the means to destroy the bunker. As the vote is called, Davros reveals this was all a decoy, giving the Daleks he sent to the Thal time to return to the bunker and exterminate the remaining Khalids. Harry and Sarah escape the chaos. The Doctor returns to set off the incubator room's explosives, but a Dalek inadvertently completes the circuit and sets it off itself. The Doctor escapes in time before the Thal and Mutos bomb caves in the bunker, trapping Davros and the Daleks. Inside, Davros realizes the Daleks have gained a will of their own and attempts to stop the production line, but a Dalek incapacitates him. The Doctor suspects that he has managed to set back Dalek evolution by several centuries and considers his mission complete. He and his companions say goodbye to the surviving Thals and Mutos before using the time ring to return to Earth in their own time. Whew, man, that was a lot of stuff going on in that story, huh? But it was all pretty good. So anyway, let's look at some production themes analysis of also the legacy of this story. While planning stories for Season 12, producer Barry Letts and script editor Terrence Dix felt that it was time for Terry Nation to return to the series and write another Dalek adventure. Lutz and Dix enjoyed the script Nation set in, but found it too reminiscent of many of his previous Dalek stories. The two suggested that Nation instead write an origin story for the Daleks, originally titled Daleks, Genesis of Terror. The serial was commissioned on April 1st, 1974, April Fool's Day, and the scripts accepted on July 22nd. The stories lined up for the season were handed over to Lutz and Dix's successors, producer Phil Pinchcliffe and script editor Robert Holmes, with whom Genesis of the Daleks gained a darker tone. Holmes is not a fan of frequent appearances by the Daleks, and only allowed the story because it explored their origins. In an aim to make the series more adult, Hinchcliffe wanted the story to be pacey and make the Daleks appear more powerful. In a 2006 interview, Dick said that he does not believe the story would have been much different if he and Lutz were in charge, but he remarked he would have added some lighter moments to soften the grim tone. Director David Mullany stated that the images of war at the beginning of the serial were intended to create atmosphere, and he had no intention of losing the younger audience. The production of Genesis of the Daleks saw several changes from the script. Mullany altered the opening scene to show the soldiers gunned down by machine guns in slow motion. Nation was displeased with the change, and Mullany later felt that the violent addition was a bit much. Hinchcliffe and Mullany were not keen on the Doctor's original meeting with the Time Lord, which took place in a lush garden, and changed it to the Scarlet War Zone, which they felt more appropriate. The Thal soldiers were originally supposed to be boys aged 15 or 16 to illustrate the youth of those fighting the war, but this was later changed to make them appear more mature. In the Genesis of Terror script, Sarah Jane becomes ill in the third episode from radiation poisoning, and Baden was the male who was introduced in the fourth episode. Part 5 originally had more action in the Dalek incubator room, and ended with the Doctor's questioning of whether he had the right to destroy them. Mullany cast John Franklin Robbins as the Time Lord because he had worked with him before and intended his character to resemble Death in the Seventh Seal. Hilary Minster, who played a Thal soldier, had also played a Thal in Planet of the Daleks. Minster had been considered for the role in Morgan. Peter Miles previously played Dr. Lawrence in Doctor Who and the Silurians, and Professor Whittaker in Invasion of the Dinosaurs. Stephen Yardley, who played the Muto Severin, later appeared in Vengeance on Varos. During filming of Genesis, Yardley walked into the casting department on his lunch break in costume and asked for a job. Because of his costume, they assumed he was a tramp from the street. Okay then. Dennis Chenery, who played Garmin, had previously been seen in The Chase and will later appear in The Twin Dilemma. Yay! The character Davros was designed by Nation to have created the dogs in his image, and to also be a spokesperson for the dogs, as he felt it was boring listening to Daleks giving speeches. The design was inspired by the Mekon, a comic book character of no body but a green dome-like head, which Hinchcliffe remembered from his childhood. Davros attracted the attention of BBC prosthetics designer John Friedlander, who agreed to come off another show to make Davros's mask. The latex mask was modeled to Michael Winsher's face by makeup artist Sylvia James. Winsher could even eat while wearing the mask. That's interesting. Regular latex instead of the more moldable foam latex was used because the latter was too expensive. The cast and crew regarded Davros's effects as a great technical achievement considering the budget and time period they worked in. Yeah, no kidding. Two children visiting Baker at the BBC studios were scared by Winsher in the costume. They thought he was a statue at first. Well, at least he wasn't a weeping angel. That's certainly good. While sitting in Davros's Dalek-like base, Winsher wore knee pads and a kilt because trousers were too uncomfortable. To prepare during rehearsals, Winsher acted in a wheelchair with a paper bag over his head that only had slits cut out for his eyes, so he would be used to the disorienting situation and be able to express himself without using his whole face. Winsher, a heavy smoker, put 2 holes in the top of the bag so he could smoke underneath it in rehearsals. Winsher also provided some of the voices for the Daleks with Roy Skelton. In some scenes, he was acting to his own pre-recorded dialogue. That's interesting. Genesis of the Daleks was the last serial of the 12th season to be filmed, after Revenge of the Cybermen. As Sarah Jane had been filmed in Revenge wearing a combat costume, It was added into Genesis that the Doctor would hand her the outfit, to which she changes into by the next scene. The story was mainly filmed in January 1975, with some studio recording carried into February. Location filming for the serial took place at Betchworth Quarry in Surrey, which represented the landscape of Skaro. Having had trouble with the Daleks on location and Planet of the Daleks, Maloney scheduled shooting so that they only appeared in studio scenes. The 3 active Dalek props were used in the serial were originals from the 1960s, and their wear was covered by new paint. 5 dummy Daleks, which could not be operated, were also used. Hinchcliffe wanted the Daleks to appear more powerful, and intended to achieve this through low angles and lighting. Duncan Brown, who was responsible for studio lighting, used colors and dark lighting to make the Daleks seem as if they were emerging from the shadows, and to suggest rather than show the world created to viewers. Okay then. The same model was used for both the Dalek and the Khalid and the Thal domes. The gas attack in Part 1 was achieved through dry ice and green lighting. Some of the Thal guns were reused props from the first Doctor serial Galaxy 4. The electric trolley used by the Khalids in Part 1 worked in tests, but collapsed when Baker and Martyr boarded it. The creature carrying the Doctor a glimpse at the end of Part 2 was mainly a reused Ice Warrior costume, while the Thal rocket ship was a reused model from the Ambassadors of Death. During the filming of Part 2, Miles and Cherney had trouble fitting the gun on the Dalek. As a result, the scene had to be filmed in 2 takes, merged with a reaction shot of the Doctor. Part 2 is unusual in that it is one of the very few episodes not to begin with a reprise, and also the first to end in a freeze frame. A stunt double for Elizabeth Sladen was hired for Sarah's fall from the scaffolding, but Maloney discovered that she would be falling 8 feet, while Sladen had fallen 10 feet in rehearsals. Maloney ultimately decided to conclude the episode with a freeze frame ending. Maloney would use the freeze frame technique again, most notably in The Deadly Assassin. The 3rd episode overran its 25-minute limit, and rather than cut material out, the cliffhanger was changed from Davros's speech to the Doctor being electrocuted. The music for the serial was recorded on March 3rd, 1975, and dubbing finished the day before Part 1 aired. That's interesting. Nation, who grew up during World War II, intentionally based the Daleks on the Nazis, and this episode contains many deliberate parallels. The Khalids dress in uniforms reminiscent of the Nazis and display fascist salutes. The Khalids look to keep their race pure by banishing the Thals and Mutos. Cast and crew members described it as a warning to the world about the danger of allowing authoritarianism to take over. Physical comparisons have been drawn between the appearance of Niter and Heinrich Himmler. Aside from their resemblance, both wore insignias and spectacles. As the production of the 3rd episode began, the producers decided to downplay some of the Nazi symbolism and took away Niter's Iron Cross. Ed Webb and Mark Wardecker, in a paper in Doctor Who and Philosophy, interpreted the Dalek history shown in Genesis of the Daleks as a warning that scientists will be the one to bring about the ultimate destruction, the ultimate evil, and deliberately so. They also commented that the serial showed that the Daleks were evil by design rather than evolution. Davros represents a mad scientist who creates a monster that then consumes him. Sarah Honeychurch and Al Burr, in the same book, wrote that the corruption of the Daleks showed that the creatures should not be created with such limited moral reasoning, and that in our world we cannot impose our own personal human standards on everybody else. Genesis of the Daleks also displays a battle between good and evil. Let's enjoy the fact that the story did not have clear heroes and villains, but rather a conflict of principle. The discussion between the Doctor and Davros about the hypothetical viral weapon demonstrates this. Hinchcliffe described it as the hero meets anti-hero moment, with the two engaged in intellectual grappling. The episode also presents the moral dilemma of whether the Doctor should destroy the Daleks, resulting in the famous "Have I the right?" scene. The Doctor's comparison to knowingly killing a child who would grow up to be a dictator shows the Doctor's ethics are influenced by his non-linear experience of time. The 12th Doctor would again revisit this theme in the 2015 episodes The Magician's Apprentice and The Witch's Familiar. He considers the good things that may come out of the Daleks, such as that Many future worlds will become allies. The Doctor's conclusion that he does not have the right is an example of utilitarian reasoning and a duty-based ethical position. Sladen recalled that Baker took the scene very seriously, almost agonizing over the dialogue. Oof. Comparisons to other stories have been drawn. The Time Lord who appears at the story's beginning is intentionally costumed to resemble Death in Ingmar Bergman's film The Seventh Seal. Gareth Roberts has compared this character to the ghost of Hamlet's father, suggesting that setting the protagonist on a violent mission with which he has moral qualms. Martin Wiggins, senior lecturer and fellow at the Shakespeare Institute at Stratford-upon-Avon, suggests that the Doctor's indecision about destroying the Dalek embryos in the "Have I the Right?" scene is derived from the brothers Karamazov. Oof. Genesis of the Daleks was one of the most widely known serials of the original run, as it was repeated often. It was edited into an 85-minute omnibus version and broadcast on BBC One at 3:00 p.m. on December 27, 1975, attracting 7.6 million viewers. It was also repeated in 2 edited 45-minute episodes as part of the Doctor Who and the Monsters on July 26 and August 2, 1982, which attracted audiences of 4.9 and 5 million. Oof. It was then repeated in its original serial form on BBC Two in 1993, averaging 2.2 million viewers, and 2000, averaging 1 to 1.5 million. In a 1998 poll of readers of Doctor Who magazine, 2,500 voters placed Genesis at the top of a poll to find the greatest Doctor Who stories of all time. In the magazine's 2009 Mighty 200 poll, asking readers to rank all of the then-made 200 stories, Genesis came in 3rd place, behind The Caves of Androzani and Blink. In a 2014 poll, the magazine's readers again placed the episode in 3rd place. In 2008, the Daily Telegraph named Genesis of the Daleks as one of the 10 greatest episodes of Doctor Who. Genesis of the Daleks is the first example in the history of Doctor Who of outright revisionism. The creation story of the Daleks is very different from that established in the Daleks, where it was said that they evolved from creatures known as dolls, who were once similar to the Thals. Here, the dolls from the original story are changed to Khalids. Russell T Davies, who revived Doctor Who in 2005, suggested that the origins of the Time War, a conflict between the Time Lords and the Daleks, which contributed to the storyline of the new series, began with the Time Lords' attempted genocide of the Daleks in Genesis. Davros is resurrected in Destiny of the Daleks, played by David Gooderson, and appears in the 3 remaining Dalek stories of the classic series, played by Terry Malloy. He also appears in the revived series since The Stolen Earth and Journey's End, played by Gillian Bleach. In The Magician's Apprentice, footage from the episode is used, with its plot based on the Fourth Doctor's moral issue: if one has the right to kill a child, if they knew that child would grow up totally evil. Davros's early life is additionally covered in the 2006 Big Finish 4-part audio series I, Davros, which G. Smiles reprising his role as Snyder in the 4th episode, Guilt. Whew, man. So yeah, overall, a really good story, and definitely a must-watch for everyone who wants to get into classic Doctor Who. So, with that said, I give Genesis of the Daleks 5 sonic screwdrivers out of 5. Well, join me next week as we once again meet up with Cybermen in Revenge of the Cybermen. So, until then, this is Hoovy and Queen saying, "Oh my giddy aunt! When I say run, run! Of inversibility of the neutron flow. Would you like a jelly, baby? Fantastic! Allons-y! Geronimo!" Bow ties are cool, fezzes are cool, and Stetsons are cool.